Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Spot, where we continue on doing this robot. So, I feel like this one is just coming along pretty well. Pretty happy with this one. So, just trying to form in the shapes and the colors. A lot of the, I don't know if you can just see what I'm doing here. Getting a lot of the, trying to make a kind of a darker color tones, almost purple or blue. Try to get into the to add it for the sword, the hilt to the, or the handle of the sword. Sorry, and so that's what we're doing. All right. So anyway, we're just working along. So it's, like I mentioned before, it's very important to keep the white of the paper there, so that keeps that way you have allows you to have the highlights without going in and adding, extra color or even white paint. I really don't do that often. I have done it when needed, but usually I like to just rely on the light of the color of the paper to really produce those highlights for me. So you allow that to become your highlights, and that's what makes it watercolor pretty neat and fun to do that, because you're allowing that paper to be your highlights, and that it causes you to paint a little differently than you would normally think about painting, because that's giving you that sense of the light and texture and any highlights here. So okay, right now I'm building up the background. Pull a little bit of yellow. A lot of times I just don't like having a particular background. More of a flowy kind of just a perhaps we can have something going on in the back, but I'm just trying to build in the color there, so the contrast between the robot and the background. So all right. That's pulling a lot of purple, a lot of blue and purple tones here, so I can add to the robot. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's joined me on these on the spot videos. Hopefully you can start telling your friends or anybody say, hey, there's this guy doing this artwork on here, and you just kind of let people know. And if possible, you guys can subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment or whatever you want to do. And like I said, there'll be more to come. Just maybe I'll do different subject matters than just doing robots. But at this time, I really enjoy doing these, so I just figured whatever I'm working on at the moment, I'll just kind of video and record part of it for you guys. Of course, not everything I would do is going to be recorded, but I just want to take you on that journey to how to complete a painting. How does a painting come about? you know, what is the process involved, you know, to do a painting, you know. So that's kind of what I'm showing you guys, a little bit of a documentary, or kind of a video log of how this comes about, and the process of doing a painting. So, ready? So right now I'm just building up the colors, because I wanted to have like a like it's armor, like having armor on. So that's what I'm doing right now, basically just building them that armor. Okay. And if you notice, I'm watching where the light's coming from. I want to add the shadows to that. So the robot's going to have the definite shadows where the, you know, obviously shadows would be. So that's what that's what I'm building up on right now. So. Yeah, part of the challenge is the, you know, I'm really drawing something out of my head. So these robots don't exist, so it's sort of like the only place that it exists is really in my head, if it's my own robot. Same thing with you, if you're excuse me, sorry. Same thing with you if you were just creating your own drawings or your paintings, whatever it might be. You know, you might be creating your own houses, or seascapes, or whatever it is, or landscapes. You give your own touch and feel to it. So that's, and basically it's like with me here, I'm creating this design or this robot, but it's really just out of my head. So there's not really any guide to say, you know, this should look like this or that. So it's actually forming as I'm thinking about it, as it kind of comes about. So I basically had the drawing out, but I mean, the other textures, details, the other forms come into light later. So okay, sorry, a lot of this is just, I'm just trying to get the paints going on here. So I could maybe show you more on the videotapes, but I mean, not video, but on here, me mixing up the paints. But so it's just all right. Oh, flying brush. Okay. Well, it's live recording. Alright. A lot of times I draw these little maybe marks right here. I'm just kind of get an idea where the this part of the armor stops, and then where the other part, where his chest area would begin. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is to figure that out, and all these different elements come into play. So that's what I'm working on now. So. And believe me, there has been some projects, most projects I do, or commission works, I have completely drawn out the picture, you know. So you want to I want to say that. I mean, I have done pictures before where I really, especially if I'm working from a photograph or, just something like that, I draw out the whole, everything that I want it to be in the photograph. Everything that I want to draw, I usually do. Now, these robots, I kind of let it, like, kind of happen or form. I kind of draw out where I want it, but then, I kind of allow the paint to take over and see what direction I'm going to go in with that. So that's what I typically do. And I don't know. I just find that it gives me a little more creativity, a little more kind of not being restricted to a drawing itself. But there's times too where I've drawn a robot where I really want to make sure, if I'm drawing the actual bigger robot, the whole body, holding something, a gun or a weapon or a sword, or maybe doing. I've done one where it's like they're working they're miners working on, it'd be kind of neat. Maybe I'll recreate that kind of picture again, or do another picture from that same theme where they're miners working on the, mining through the rock and stuff like that. So. But I would typically draw out the whole picture for that because I want to know, exactly where everything's going. So that's, it all depends on what kind of picture I'm doing. So. And part of the challenges to doing this way, the way I'm doing it, is I do get a little more creativity, a little more freedom, but also at the same time, it's like, it's a challenge to try to figure out, okay, where am I going to put this, instead of relying on the lines that I drew out or what I've already drew out on paper. So allowing the paint to help form, around the robot itself. And what I notice, if you notice here, the darker will pop out the lighter. So right here, this darker, make this one lighter. It just kind of enhances the shape and the feel of the robot. And so what I'm trying to do is give it more like a 3D effect, like it's almost coming out of the page. That's what I really want to do. And hopefully that if I accomplish that, that's I'm pretty well satisfied with that. If I can get that look, a three-dimensional look that would come from this whole thing. So sometimes I just take a brush like this, and then a brush like this, and I just have water, and I just take it over here like this, and I kind of just go like this, going across this here. And what this does, it's sort of like I'm pulling the colors around it, but I don't want to lose this white here, and this is very important. But I'm slightly making it a little bit blended, so I was very careful to not do that too much. Just go across here and make sure I still have those white highlights, but at the same time I'm trying to blend in the colors so it kind of fits. It's just not a clear, a little bit of a texture. So it basically, all these little textures are bringing in the details. So. There may be periods of time where I'm not doing any talking. I just want you to guys kind of watch what I'm doing, because I'm trying to just focus on how it's going to come about. So it helps me a lot too. So if you guys don't mind, there might be just times where I'm just painting. I'm not really saying anything, And at the time, there may not be anything really to say. It's just kind of, this is what it is. This is the project. So. And again, this is art. Art is a therapy. I would hope that for you guys that are going through anything or facing whatever difficulties in life, you guys are just, I like to think it's a great outlet of which you can kind of let out your thoughts, your emotions. You can look back at your paintings and go, this reminded me of this time in my life, or something like that, or or you might be listening to some music with it, and that reminds you of that music, or whatever it is, or might remind you of a person that you're you're just being close to at the moment. And as you're working on this painting, it reminds you of this person, and then you come back and you look at this painting and you're like, wow, that reminded me of that time. At least for me, I think I look back at paintings and I kind of remind me of a time period. I don't know exactly what time period it was. I couldn't know the exact date or year, whatever month. But I remember kind of in general what was going on, or a memory of that time. So in a way, it's like you're archiving your memories through your paintings, and honestly, it's no one else will know but you. You're unless you want to really draw or paint and recreate what's going on in your life, but that's probably typically no one, or maybe some people do. I mean, that's fine, but in general, a lot of times you're just not really doing that. You're just kind of, as you're creating it, and you look back at it and you're like thinking, that reminds me of this time that this was happening, or something like that, a certain event in your life, or how you felt, emotion. And art should be emotional. Art should be passionate. Art should be not just cut and dry. I mean, I work slightly realistic, but also kind of with a lot of fantasy involved, or with my own style. I like robots. I like doing landscapes, so little lighthouses, flowers. I've done animals before, portraits. I haven't really done people, as I find it a little challenging, but I have done portraits in the past, and I just don't commit to doing anything. If I do it, it's going to be for myself, and not really seeking to go out there and market myself as being a artist drawing people, because there's challenges involved with that. And watercolor, you can either, once you put down the paint, it's a little bit challenging to remove it, but there is ways to remove it. I mean, it can be done, but we've all gone through times where you've done something for somebody, and you're kind of just challenged by the meeting the expectations of the person you're drawing for, and sometimes it's hard to do that. And hopefully, as an artist, you want to try to accomplish what they want, and to that's the nice thing about doing your own artwork, and something out of your own head. The only one you have to worry about pleasing is yourself. You're kind of your own captain of the ship, so to speak. I just love the way the paint blends and forms. I do like more. You might see my artwork. I add a little bit of reds and yellows, and blending them together, and just seeing how it forms. as you're watching it, you're like, I just enjoy that, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it too, seeing it all come about, and you know, that's the fun of the art work, is to see what can happen, and art should be exciting for you. It should be something that you should be like looking forward to, not dreading. You know, if you you know, you dread doing the art, you're not going to want to do it, and that's but when you're really excited and you just want to do it, and you're just like, it's like me doing these videos right now. It's not a matter of, oh, I have to do these videos, you know, whatever. No, I don't have to do it. It's because I want to do it, and I want to show you guys, and I want to have it out there for people to see and to be encouraged with, and then, you know, and I want to show you guys how this, you know, things come about through the artwork, and the process of it. You know, sometimes it flows really good. Like, I feel like this one is actually flowing very good. I'm very happy with the whole process of this painting. But then there's times where, like the last one, where I was, like I said, I mentioned, I wasn't against the hot press paper. It's just that I had to learn it and to understand it, and just like learning how, you know, how I do this paper, learning a technique, learning a way to do it, learning how to, you know, I work dry typically. If you notice, it's not exactly wet. I don't like to go, you know, a bunch of them. I know I added a little sound effects like water sound, but I don't think that's how water sounds. But you know what I mean, wet on wet, let it kind of blend and bleed together, and form, and that's awesome. I really love those works people could do, but for me, I like to make it drier, a little drier, and it's a matter of how much paint I put in there, how much water I put in there. So it's a matter of just several different things happening all the time when you're painting. So sometimes you can just take, let's see, my brush is pretty well dry, right? So I can actually pull a little color from here and bring it over here. So you could just do, let's see, this is really dark. So I'm going to take this and then get enough on there. And then there you go. Just kind of, it's a light amount, but then at the same time, I'm just taking a little bit of that color and that paint and I'm using it here. And it's kind of a little neat little trick if you guys want to do that. Very importantly, I was told, not exactly told, I was informed to use really good quality paper, really good quality paints, and you'll get good results. And also, especially the paint part is important, because I've had such success with that. I honestly say I don't go through as much paint as I used to, as when I used the lesser pigment. The least expensive paints. Actually, I was going through so many tubes, and I was wondering why. Why am I going through so many tubes? And I find that when I'm going through the more expensive paint, I don't hardly have to buy paint as often. And it's been like really a while. I've done several paintings, and I have not really had to do that. So just want to encourage you. So there's little tips there. I'm sorry about shaking the camera here. Sorry about that. Little tips here that you can have here and there. Again, we're on a tripod. It's kind of live. I didn't mean to shake the camera, but little tips like that to, you know, just you know, to save, to help you, things like that. I mean, because I hopefully to be here and kind of show you, say, hey, try this, try that, and then you'll learn your own, and then you'll come up with your own tips to give people if you're drawing and you're doing artwork, and when you're showing people, and just the creativeness of how it can be. So I just want to thank you for joining me tonight. Sorry about the shaky camera. Just as all of a sudden, this happens. It's far less shaky than it used to be. Because I have a tripod which I'm very happy with, and it has a little light on there, and it's kind of exciting to have this kind of little device to do that, to do my artwork, and I just want to thank you for it, for joining me, for just, please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I just ask that you would, and just help me to keep this growing. I mean, I want to be excited about art. I want to do more artwork, and so I just want to bring more art to you. And I might do something totally different next time. I mean, not this time. I want to finish this robot painting. But once I'm done with this particular robot, I may try to do something totally different than you've never seen before I've done, hopefully. So, thank you for joining me on the spot, and I hope you have a very good night. And thank you.